Yo, what is up? When you join, say hello. I always love know who's tuning in. I love knowing when you're coming on. I love knowing where you're from. But my name is Colleen. If you've never been here before, if you've never witnessed me before, I'm honestly grateful to be here in your presence. So I have some really exciting news. I'm going to be going live for 31 days in October for those of you who have been on this journey with me of Colleen Gallagher. And you saw me in the beginning of my business and I was going live all the time and I was sharing things, and as my business has grown, I have not carved out the time as much to do that anymore. But with the launch of my third book, if you have not seen it yet, it's on my feed. I highly recommend you go and check it out. It's my most powerful book to date. It's a beautiful story of how I compromised my character, my desires, and my needs for falling in love. And how I was diagnosed with cancer at age 14. And I was told it would be really challenging for me to have children. However, God delivered me a very beautiful gift since I was compromising who I was meant to become. For love, I was given a child. And in this unplanned pregnancy, I was shown that this child would have entered into an unhealthy relationship dynamic that would not have been good for a child. It would not have been healthy for a child, in my opinion. And when you look at the relationship deeper, you can label myself as a spiritual codependent, and you would be able to label him as probably a narcissist, covert narcissist. And so this was a co-created experience in my life for me to understand what it truly means to love, what it truly means to forgive, and my initiation into motherhood, which wasn't how I planned. And so I'm going live every single day in October for 31 days to say 31 ways that my heart broke and throughout my life, and 31 ways that I fell in love after my heartbreak. And so when you're watching this, what I'd be so grateful for, what I'd appreciate is if you can share this video. We are going to have to get the message out there, to get the launch of the book, to help anyone, man or woman, that has gone through heartbreak, where God has delivered an incredible story to you through your heartbreak, but you haven't yet learned how to take the suffering and turn it just into pain and bring the pain into beauty. And so when you watch this, what I'd love for you to do is you share it. We have my team, which is going to put your name into a drawing for 3 people. And the first person we choose on October 31st, you will get my first book. You will get my second book. You will get my third book. And you will get my Oracle card deck. And you'll get 2 one-on-one calls with me. That's usually $1,000 for that. The second person that we pick, you'll get my first book. You'll get my third book. You'll get my Oracle deck. And you'll get a one-time call with me. The third person we pick, you'll get my newest book, An Uncompromised Life, my Oracle deck, and one call with me. And so every time you share it, when you show up, we will enter you into that, and we'll pull it at the end of October, so you could be entered multiple times if you just share it. And so today the heartbreak I want to share with you is my initiation into motherhood. It was not what I imagined. I can tell you that. When I was diagnosed with cancer at a really young age, I really, as a protection mechanism, put it out of my mind what having a relationship could mean and what being a mother could mean. And so when I did this, I worked and put myself in environments where I would just pretend that a relationship and a kid could never come because I'd be so busy working. And then I fell in love with someone, and in falling in love with them, they arguably were not honest about the relationship dynamics they had And I arguably was very naive and believing or turning a blind eye to what was reality. And so God had a very beautiful way to communicate to me that this needed to change by giving me the gift of becoming pregnant. However, the day before I knew that I was pregnant, my mom and I were in Florida, and she looked in my eyes and she said the reason that she had a daughter was so that she wouldn't be alone with my parents and his family, my dad and his family. So there's something called a codependent looping, which means that mothers and daughters are codependent on each other for happiness and for fulfillment. And so I wanted to roll over my grave, basically, and my mom said this because it's just not a fun thing to hear. And the next day I woke up after my mom said this to me and I knew I was pregnant. And I was crying and crying and crying because I knew that the relationship dynamic I was in, I was not proud of. The relationship I had with my parents, I was not proud of. And I was just not very proud of the person I was being because I wasn't expressing who I truly was. Because I thought that that's what I had to do when you loved someone. And so I called the guy to tell him, and he hung up on me. He was sick. I called him again, and his phone said user unavailable. I flew back to LA, and he asked me in a text message, how was your day? I said, today was intense. And for those of you who know me, no, I don't say that ever. And he didn't ask why. So I tried to tell this man 3 times, the Trinity, mind, body, soul, and nothing. Most people, when you imagine becoming a mother, this beautiful gift that God gives you, the beautiful thing that makes you a woman versus man, you imagine that you're in love. You imagine it being a beautiful time in your life. You imagine it being extraordinary. Yeah, that was not mine. I'll tell you that. And that's not how I imagined mine. But I got to such a point in my life where I was compromising so much of God's plan for myself, but this was the only message God could give me to wake up. And so my heart broke a million times. My heart broke the moment that the guy wasn't there. He didn't answer the phone. My heart broke the moment that it happened. My heart broke that the moment my mom shared with me what she shared. My heart broke because I didn't have my fairy tale of becoming a mom the way I imagined for the first time. And what I've come to realize is that many of us, our hearts break because our story didn't pan out the way that we imagined. Our story didn't go our way. However, the story did go my way. The story became my story because the medical doctors told me that it would be not impossible, but it would be very challenging to get pregnant. And in this story, the name Ella was delivered to me through a little girl, through the child's dad, or the fetus's dad, and through my mom, to let me know that this was a real soul and that this was the missing part of my story. That this was the part of my story where I prayed to adopt. I prayed to know that it could be possible. I prayed to know that I could be a mom. I prayed to know that love exists in a miraculous way. And I didn't pray for what happened to me. I didn't pray for betrayal on probably both parties, his and mine. I didn't pray for it to end in the way that it did. But in a way, I prayed to know it could always be possible that I could be a beautiful mother and that I could adopt and I could live a beautiful life and that a man would never determine that. And in a very bizarre way, I learned how to fall in love through this story and through this book. I learned that my greatest love story means I will always be the hero. I learned that my greatest love story always revolves around me loving myself and not compromising a single thing about me to receive love. I learned that one of my greatest love stories will be the day that I adopt and receive my daughter Ella, because I always knew, for those of you who've known me for a long time, always knew I was going to adopt. You always knew, we always knew I was going to adopt. I talked about this in college. I talked about this as soon as I was diagnosed with cancer. I talked about adopting. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. And this was the story God gave me. This was the soul God gave me to know when I will adopt, how I will adopt, and why I will adopt. And so for that, I am eternally grateful. For that, I fell in love with the mistakes that I made. For that, I fell in love with this life that God delivered. And what I want to share with you in these lives for 31 days is 31 ways that my heart is broken in my life, because I think many of you look at my life and feel like I just magically became this way. Let me tell you, this was less than a year ago. My life was pretty broken. And somehow I did it miraculously, where I pulled myself together to be here before you. But that's just it. Your life isn't meant to stay broken. Your heart isn't meant to stay broken. It's meant to heal. It's meant to fall in love. And you're meant to have the greatest love story of your life. You just have to believe it. You get to believe it. And you get to know that whatever's gone on in your life has never been your fault. It's all just part of a beautiful story. Hey, Jade. And so what I'm offering for the rest of the 31 days, I'll be on here live or Facebook for checking it, is 31 ways that my heart broke and how I overcame it. Starting with today was the initiation into motherhood of having a child that I did not plan on having in that way, and how I fell in love with it, and how the story found me, how it revealed itself to me. And if you are someone who's going through heartbreak right now or really struggling, one, I have a free Facebook community, so just message me community. I'll get you in there. I'm going to be working heavily in that group for 31 days to guide you on your healing journey, to guide you on your journey of healing your broken heart and falling in love and creating miracles out of the mess. Two, my book. Comment below book or message me and I will get you the link to pre-order the book. Where you get the book, you get a crystal from the Crystal line, and you also will get a handwritten channeled note from me. Lastly, if you're listening to this, you're like, holy shit, Colleen, I feel like you just spoke to my soul so in-depthly. I'm offering something just for October where you get a chance to work one-on-one with me for 4 calls. Message me and we'll get you details to that. So I want you to know that you deserve the most incredible love story, that you deserve to fall in love in this world, and that it's already happening. And I'm so excited for this journey together for 31 days. Please share this and we will message you to be in the draw, and always reach out with me. I'm here for you whenever.